living so far, busy living so far, busy living so far. It is episode 476. Happy fall. It is September 3rd. I'm recording on the 3rd. It's coming out on the 4th. I hope everybody had a wonderful Labor Day. Kids are back in school, I hope. Maybe even one more week, but here we are. We're rolling it up. It's fall. Summer's over officially. And I have been thinking so much about owning your story and being authentic and how important it is to be your authentic self. I think it's been kind of weird. I used to go into people's homes all the time, and like so many homes look so much the same, right? So you go to Pottery Barn or you go to IKEA or you go whatever store you go to, and everybody's houses look the same. And I think that we're more individual than the world wants to make us out to be. I think we all have certain quirks that are just ours, and we all have certain things that we like and we don't like. And owning that and owning who you are, and that this is your journey. This isn't anybody else's journey, it's just yours. So, owning your story is of the utmost importance. Now, before I want to go on any further, I want to say if you're here for the first time, welcome. I never sit on the couch unless I have a guest. So I just decided today that I was going to take a seat on my comfy couch because let's face it, it's just like I'm chatting with a dear friend, which I am. And it feels comfy. So here I am. It's not a new set per se, but it's what I'm doing today. I'm sitting here on the couch. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to my show and share it with your friends if you like it. And so back to what I am going to talk about today, which is owning who you are and being authentic. It is, again, of the utmost importance for you to own who you are and to realize that it's okay that you might be different than your friends. You might have different likes. You might like to wear long shorts, jeans, cutoffs. I don't care, whatever it is. You might want to dress differently and you might have different beliefs, but that's okay. Owning who that is and not being ashamed of it. And the reason I'm talking about this is on August 31st, which I guess was last week sometime, I was listening, I know you guys know this, but if you're new, you don't. I listen to Halo app religiously and actually every morning, to no pun intended with the religious thing. But I was listening to um a women's devotional, which is it's normally only like 5 minutes long. And the woman that is on there is the woman who wrote Walking with Purpose. And she's amazing. And she's a mother of six. And she's just so inspiring. And I love everything that she has to say most days. And it gets me thinking and it gets me out of me and what I might have to do that day and who I have to help and da 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 da. It just gets me centered with God, which is where I need to start my day when you do what I do, which is talk to a lot of people and help a lot of people. So for me, it's getting centered with God every morning. And on the 31st of August, she mentioned 5 things that regrets people have on their deathbed. And this was written by an Australian hospice nurse named Bonnie Ware. And Bonnie talks about 5 different things that people regret on their deathbeds. And so I thought it hasn't left me. And it's been what, the 31st and today's the 3rd. So it's been with me for 4 days. And I think about it all the time and I don't know why, but I decided to share it with you guys because again, I feel like I'm here talking to my girlfriends and maybe my boyfriends and I'm sitting on my couch and we're just having girl talk or we're just having talk. And so the first thing that this woman, Bonnie, mentions in her book is that the people say that I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not what others expected of me. Excuse me. Again, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not what others expected of me. Wow. So what comes back to our stories, right? And if we are followers, instead of leaders, if we don't own our own lives and aren't okay with who we are, we can tend to do things that we don't want to do, even though we do them, right? So, what do I mean by that? I mean, when I was drinking and was in my active addiction, I tended to hang out with people because I thought they might be what I wanted to be because maybe they had stuff, you know what I mean? Stuff, cars, houses, names, da 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 da, da, and all this stuff that really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And I ended up having, I was a follower, and I drank a lot because I really couldn't follow these people and I really didn't fit with this group. And I did things that I really were not inherently what I want to be doing. And I did them anyway because I wanted to fit in this cool crowd, what I perceived to be cool crowd. And I'm so grateful that I pivoted and that I have the courage to live my true self. And I think we all can live our true selves. And I can give you another example. I have been really, obviously, on here on the podcast and on my social media, I've been really honest about my beliefs about this upcoming election. And the reason I am is just because I think that so much is at stake. And why do I think so much is at stake? Because there's so much darkness right now. And everybody I talk to, no matter who they're voting for, can see the darkness. It's not, I mean, it's transparent for everyone. And especially when I went over to Medjugorje and I saw how light people were because they had faith. And I feel like here in America, we're such a young country compared to all these countries in Europe. And we are so young, and so many people are focused on material, money, and that sort of thing, and not so much on faith and having conversations about faith. I think it's really important then you find out who your authentic self is and go and be who you want to be rather than what other people want you to be. Like, other people expect us to be a certain way. If we live in a certain neighborhood, if we have a certain house, drive a certain car, I think that that comes with all these preconceived notions. But I think if we have the strength to own who we are and do what really makes us authentically happy, then we can literally have the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do rather than what other people expect me to do. Does that make sense? I think it does. Can you do that? Could you take that on as your new, like, all right, it's fall, it's time for a new beginning. You're going to do what you want to do, not what other people expect you to do. Own you. Don't do what everybody expects you to do. Do what you know in your heart, because that's for me. I hear God through my heart all the time. And you know in your heart what is right for you and what is wrong with you. Don't follow the pack because the pack's doing this one thing. Do what you want to do because you know in your heart that that's right for you. Does that make sense? I hope so. It's very important for you to own who you are instead of be what everybody else expects you to be, because you could, we all are going to die, be at that end of your life and go, why did I not do what I wanted to do? Why not? I love that. Another thing is number two, the people said that were dying was that I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I can totally, I can see this. I have been, I don't know if it's blessed as much as it's what has like happened to me. I've always been an entrepreneur and I've always worked for myself. And I'm at a place now at 56. My kids are grown, totally taking care of themselves. And I do this podcast, as you guys all know, and it's not really whatever. I'm not here to make money. I'm here to share. But um, I find that if we work so hard that life can pass you by and you can get at a point to where your entire life for 40 years, you've done all this work for all these people and it's earned you maybe whatever money and materialistic items. But at the end of the day, your relationships are more important than the work, right? So having a relationship with your family, your loved ones, your friends is so much more important than the job, because the job and the boss and all the other hierarchy at a workplace are not going to be there at the end of your life. Most times, they're not going to be hugging you and saying, oh my gosh, remember when this happened? Remember when that happened? They might stop by or send you a basket of fruit or some balloons or flour, but they're not gonna you've wasted your life worrying about this job. And I have some friends that are actually in this place where they are like, "Oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. This has been my definition, has been my job. And not only my job, my kids. And now what do I do? What do I do?" And it's like, embrace it, embrace it. Pick up a book, make a phone call, go for a walk, start a new hobby. As you guys know, I paint and I haven't painted for so long, but I actually went with some friends this past weekend and painted, and it was so amazing just to get there and pull out the paints and just, I don't know, put something on the palette, put something on my canvas and walk away and say, I like it. Oh, I want to add this, or I want to add that. Oh, I want to take this away. But I'm totally focused on this thing that I'm making with my hands and my eyes and my creativity and my brain. So instead of working, when I got sober, the time, you know, I wasted so much time when I was in my active alcoholism because, I was either hungover or focused on the next party and if I was going to have enough wine or not. And I wasn't focused on all these things that I can do. Hence, I get sober and I realize, oh my God, there's not enough time in the day. Where's all the time gone? And today, it's embracing that time you have to be creative, to do things that make you happy, to do things that maybe you've thought you've always wanted to do, but haven't been able to do because you have this job that takes up your entire life. On your deathbed, that job isn't going to be what you're going to be thinking about. You're going to be thinking about, oh my gosh, I didn't get to do this and I didn't get to do that. You need to do those things now, right? Time's a wasting, right? We have no idea how much longer we're going to be here. Um, the third thing is, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. This is a big one. And I know you guys hear me say this a lot because people write to me all the time and tell me how courageous I am. And I think the reason I'm so courageous at this point in my life is, for one, I'm 55, almost 56. And I feel like I don't care anymore so much about what everybody else thinks. I've been actually working on writing a book, which is so amazing because all these people have been saying to me, you need to write a book, you need to write a book. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I need to write a book. And I had every excuse in the world. But instead, I'm setting aside an hour a day and I'm writing. And when I've been writing this, I've realized, like, growing up, and I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, any parents or anything else for that matter, but it was where I grew up and in my house, it was like the focus was what the neighbors thought. Like, when you walk out of the house, you better act this way, you better look this way, you better be dressed this way. And that was that took over everything. That was more important than your feelings. Like, nobody wanted to hear how you were feeling. If you're like, I don't want to wear these clothes because they don't show who I am. They don't express my personality, and you're put into something. And I am totally guilty of that with my children. And I made them wear certain clothes and dress in certain outfits because it was about me more than it was about them. So I took away their choices and I'm like, you're going to wear this and you're going to say this and you're going to act like this and you're going to do all these things. And I think that in so many ways that takes away from our ability to be our authentic selves, right? Is this constant thing from our elders, and I'm doing air quotes with that, and our elders telling us, if you wear this or you wear that, that's what's more important than how you feel. And so fast forward to you being an adult and you've been for your whole entire life said, don't do this, don't do that, act like this, do that, and go on and on. I could go on ad nauseum with that. And instead have courage for having the beliefs you have. Have courage and owning what you think in your mind. We all have brains, right? And I think we're living in a time where our brains aren't being used anymore, right? If we're told what to think, we're told what everybody thinks on the television in terms of what's going on politically. It's like you can't go and make up your own mind. They feed us all this stuff on social media. And it's like, oh, if you don't do what everybody else is doing and you actually speak up, somebody might not like you. Well, I've talked about this on my Facebook. If you found my Facebook on my personal page, Elizabeth Busy Chance, I think it is Bizzy, Elizabeth Bizzy Chance. And I post a lot of stuff that I like about politics and about the politicians that I am rooting for, which you guys already know. So I post these things all the time, and then people come and chime in what they think. And it's always a rebuttal of what I think. And it's always a kind of like, oh, this is what I think. And you know what? You shouldn't think the way you're thinking because you should think this way. Well, I think it's so crazy because I'm gonna tell you this. I don't go to other people's pages and and comment the way what I believe on what they're commenting, because I think if you have, let's say, a palette that you're painting on, and you're painting a picture, or you're drawing something, or whatever you're doing that's creative, that expresses who you are in your brain, in your heart, and in who you are as a whole being, and somebody comes up and says, "Mm, I don't like that you put the red there. I don't like you put brown there. I don't like the blue. I don't like how this is all structured on this painting, on this palette, on this whole canvas." And somebody comes over and tells you that. And unless you've paid to take a course from a professional who then comes over and you want their opinions because they're better than you, most of these people are just other people. Nobody's better than me. Nobody's lesser than me. We're all the same. But this is my opinions. Where we live in America, at least for right now, I pray forever that it's like this because it's why our country was founded, was that you're allowed to have your own opinions. And you're allowed to at least on your Facebook page, your Instagram page, your stories, you're allowed to post what you like. Now, what you like might not be what I like. And I don't think it takes a lot of courage for me to put up what I like. It might be a lot of courage for me to go delete to every person that writes something that I don't like, but I don't want it on my page. My page expresses who I am and what I like. And if that's courageous, then bring it. But I think we all should be like this. I don't think people should be ashamed of believing in what they believe in today. Even if you believe in that person, I won't even say their name who's running for president. I will not say the person's name. But if you believe in that, go for it. Go for it. But I think that for me, I do my research. I look and I believe one way that I've believed for a really long time. And I have the courage to say that. And I hope you would too. Be courageous, own your story, own who you are. God made us as like these perfect beings. We are not pieces of tile that you put around a pool or in the back of my kitchen here. Like there's ceramic tiles, they all have to be the exact same, right? It's a white square or rectangle or diamond or whatever it is. And they all have to look the exact same, just like Wonder Bread. Each piece of Wonder Bread looks the exact same except the heels on either end. It's all the perfect diameter. It's diameter. It's high, whatever. It's 2 inches high by 3 inches wide. And that's how each one is. But we're human beings. And human beings have different things that make them who they are. That is why America is what it is. We're all supposed to be courageous enough to own who we are and like ourselves enough, even if we don't look or dress like everybody else. Have courage, my friends. Have courage. Getting sober gives you the ability to have and be whatever you want to be because you don't have to hide anymore. There's Penelope in the background saying hi. All right, with that, I'm going to go on to number 4. I wish I'd stayed in touch with my friends. This is kind of a weird thing for me, and I'm really being honest here in that ah, my friends have changed so much in so many years. I have a core group of friends. There's some I don't talk to anymore, and there's some that I do. And But I think that if you have a core group of friends that you've known your whole entire life and you guys have enough respect for each other that you can stay in touch, do it. For me personally, I have evolved to this place that I am, I've opened my mouth so much. I've been so courageous, like the last number three was. One of the third thing that these people said that were the regrets that they had. And I don't have that regret. So I am courageous enough to speak what I believe. And with that, in turn, may come some pushback, some deleting of friendships, some it's alienated me. I'm just going to admit it. It's alienated me. I have made choices and beliefs. I'm not part of a pact anymore. I was a part of this pact growing up that I was such a follower. I was such whatever everybody else wanted me to be. I'd be a chameleon because I thought that these people were my friends. And lo and behold, they are not my friends. They are just people I've had a lot of experiences with. But what am I proud of those experiences I had with them? Most of the time, no. Because again, back to the first one, I wish I had the courage to live a true life myself. And when I was younger, I was not true to myself. I was what everybody else wanted me to be. I didn't have the courage. I didn't have the strength to do that. And now in my 50s, I have the courage to be me. And if people don't like me and don't believe what I believe, that's okay. It is okay. I've gotten this place like I want to embrace my life, especially now that I'm in the back nine of my life. I've raised my kids. I have a happy life with my husband and I'm enjoying things. And, I believe in the politicians I believe in. I believe in what I believe in, and I'm not ashamed of it. It's my story. And it's taken a long time to get here. I have to admit, this didn't, was not always this way. I mean, if you had talked to me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I was still like scared of who I was. I had these regrets, those regrets you'd wake up and you'd be like, did I really say that? Or you'd leave a party and be like, oh my gosh, did I say that? Did I hurt somebody's feelings? All these things I used to go through all the time. And today, because I get grounded in who I am and what I believe in, and it's kind of crazy, I'm just going to digress with something here. I went to church on Sunday and I had read or heard the gospel earlier that day because, again, I listen to the gospel every morning. And I heard the priest, um, what his perception of the gospel was in the homily. And in the homily, they said that God gives us all these gifts on the inside, right? We are born with all these gifts in the inside of our bodies, right? And as we get older, we kind of uncover them as we get older. It's like peeling back the onion. I'm peeling back the old stuff and I'm finding what's really at the base, what's the core of me, what's important to me, what makes me tick, what do I like, what do I not like? And that if we can voice that, if we can get to the place that I'm voicing what I find, that's what the priest is saying. And if I can take a, t- a view of my life, if I go from 10,000 feet, I'm a helicopter going over my life and I'm seeing how my life has been. And I go, oh my gosh, I can own this. I can own that. I don't have to do that anymore. I used to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to judge. I just want to do what's important for me. And I want to enjoy my life. Here we are. I want to get involved with the certain things that I want to get involved in. And what do you want to get involved in? It's like not having shame anymore. It's owning who we are and owning our journeys. And, with that, I'm going to read number 5. I wish I had let myself be happier. Wow. Wow. We sit here and you know, I know this for myself and from people I hang out with and, on my journey so far, that we sometimes put ourselves in situations that we don't feel happy. We do things because everybody else thinks that we're supposed to do those things. And that doesn't make us happy, air quotes. Um, What makes you happy? Have you ever taken the time to look that up? Being your authentic self begs for you to take the time to figure out who you are. I got sober at 37. I'd been taken to rehab at 18. Fast forward 37, and I had kids. I had had a husband. I had a house, all these things. And I was never my authentic self. I was what everybody else wanted me to be. And today, with 18 years of sobriety, I embrace who I am. I might be slow. I don't need to judge it. I finally got here. That's all I'm going to say. I finally got here. And being my authentic self, speaking what I believe in my heart to be true is important. I do not need to kowtow to anybody. Neither do you. Neither do you. It's so, we're living in such a time where it's like smoke and mirrors all over the place. People, we live in a society that there's a camera everywhere. There's history, unless people want to go and hide it. I have to tell you this crazy thing that happened though. I went to look for, and I don't want to get into the politics thing, but I went to look for how long this person was, what the ratings were for this person that's been the vice president for the past 3.5 years. And I went to go look for those, like the history of that, like a year ago. What were that vice president? She's still the vice president today. What her ratings were, because it was all over the place. Like she has terrible ratings. She has terrible ratings. She has terrible ratings. It wasn't during the election season back then a year ago, but I was like, okay, she had terrible, terrible ratings up until literally, I think just a couple of days ago. It was literally a month ago. We are living in a time where everything's going to be like this. It's like somebody said to me yesterday, like, President Trump was shot. I'm like, where have you been? And the person was like, I have ever since getting sober 3.5 years ago, I haven't watched any news or picked up a newspaper. And somebody looked at me and was like, have you been under a rock? What have you been doing? And that hasn't been important to him. What he's been doing is biking and swimming and loving life and living here in Florida and loving being sober. So he has all these joys and all these things he loves to do. And he is his authentic self. And all this stuff doesn't mean, and the politics and stuff doesn't mean anything to him. And I can respect that. I'm like, okay, I get it. I haven't wanted to be involved. There are people like me that are involved. But look at that. He's awesome. I can't wait to hang out with this guy again. JF and I really liked him. We'll definitely have him for dinner again. And I was like, wow, he didn't care. But that's cool. It's not my job to convince him to care. I care. I care. And I love America. That's just been my thing. I respect America. I respect like my country. It's so crazy about this, but when I go to a baseball game, a football game, and they sing the Star Spangled Banner, I am crying. I mean, I start to cry every time. I still love this country. And it's so crazy because young people don't have that same sense of this country. And I don't think they understand it. It's like, I don't know, because there is no history anymore. I mean, growing up, again, I grew up in the middle of the country in St. Louis, Missouri. And I don't know, is it different there than it is in the Northeast or on the West Coast, where it's really divisive on those sides? I don't know. But in the middle, where I was raised, America and apple pie was something you totally believed in. I mean, people that went and fought for our country, we were like, thank you for going and signing up to be in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, whatever it was. You were like, thank you. You voted because your parents said to you, do you realize you have to vote? Because all these people are putting their lives on the line for us when they go and they fight for our country to keep us safe, to keep our what war borders. We don't have borders now. I mean, what's going on right now is so crazy. And I own my story so far, and I don't know what my story is going to be like at the end of the day. Let's all face it, none of us do. But I do know this. I have I've pride in what I do. I like me today. There are many, many decades that I did not like myself. I was doing everything for everybody else, which ended up with me feeling like about this big. And if you're not watching this video, it's literally, I'm putting like a little, my index finger and my thumb are like just barely apart. And that's how much I respected myself. But the longer I'm on this journey and the closer I get to God, the more I realize like God makes each one of us exactly the way we are. Embrace who you are, love who you are. If you don't want to fight with people about politics because they want to rain on your parade, delete them. I'm not going to fight you. I don't need to defend. And I'm not here in debate class like I was in high school or, on a debate, I'm not on TV to debate you. And I don't feel as though it's my job. I will write about it at times, but what I believe, I defend what I believe, but if I want to. But if I'm putting stuff that I find to be important on my wall, or I say things on this podcast that I find to be important, it is because I believe it and I love it. And I love my story so far. All the bumps, the lumps, the hurts, the sorrows, all of it, the happiness, the major joy, the major accomplishments I've made. I am really proud of myself. And I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm going to enjoy it. And I think my story is probably going to get richer, just like yours is, if you start to love yourself and embrace your story, because you're the only one with that story. Your husband, even, or spouse, or siblings might even have a different story because they have different eyes and different perceptions than you do. It's an amazing life we all have. It's such a gift. And when you get to this place, when you're sober and you can say, okay, that was part of my life too. I was a drunk. I was a fall down drunk. I am an alcoholic. But dude, I'm also sober today. And that, my friends, is what is amazing. It's one of these promises they had when I was getting sober was like, you will no longer regret the past nor shut the door on it. And that's where I am today. I'm owning it. I hope you own it. I hope you take the time to fall in love with yourself and fall in love with your story because no one else has your story but you. Share it because let's face it, I loved stories when I had my grandparents around. It was so awesome. And now I'm trying to remember those stories. I wish they had the opportunity to do what I'm doing right now because my grandchildren will hear me because they'll have these videos. But gosh, just embrace your story. Be who you are, love who you are, and no matter where you are in your sober journey, if you have one day, 1 hour, be proud of yourself. Be proud of yourself because it's a big deal. It's a big deal quitting drugs and alcohol. Love you, love yourself. And until next time, everybody, keep getting busy, living. Bye, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach me at Elizabeth, ELIZABETH, at elizabethchance.com. That's really easy. And chance is spelled just like take a chance. And just know this, you're not alone. You've got this. Reach out to me. Follow me. Watch me on Instagram. You can make a comment there. I'll get back to you. And for those of you that have made comments and I haven't gotten back to you yet from like a year ago, I'm so sorry, but I will get back to them now. And I just want you to know you're not alone. And keep getting busy, living sober, everybody. Take care. Sending lots of love. Mwah. Lots of hugs. Mwah. And again, love you all. Thanks for being here and share it with your friends if you like it. And until next time, keep getting busy, living sober. Take care, everybody. Bye.